All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. As always, I'm Sean. This is the reserve team. We've got another fantastic reserve team rankings episode for you today. We're going to go through all of the A-League kits for the 2020-2021 season. Most of them are out. There are a couple of caveats. We'll talk through those as we go through each of the clubs and each of the accounts. I couldn't speak anything relating to kits without getting our resident kit expert, Branson Gibson, to join me today. Bran, thanks so much for joining in on another rankings list.
No worries, Sean. Happy to be here. I do love a good kit, as you can possibly tell from the wall behind. So more than happy to come on and talk all things A-League jerseys. I'm looking forward to it.
As far as like different podcast topics or different show topics, this is the one that I think most people on the reserve team wanted to be a part of. So I think we're very fortunate that we're the two that got to pull this name out of a hat. I think in the first couple of weeks on the channel or on the website, we had like 3 or 4 different kit related articles come up. So it's obviously a topic very near and dear to a lot of fans in the reserve team and then a lot of fans around the league as well. But always an exciting time of year heading into the new part. When we talk about A-League kits, what are some of the things that you think are like key and critical? What's the most important thing for an A-League kit if you're looking from a fan's perspective and from a club's perspective?
That's a good question. Good question straight off the bat. I think one thing that I've sort of noticed with some A-League kits is they almost look a little bit tacky. So I like a kit that looks clean and sharp. You know, it doesn't look like it was sort of designed in Microsoft Paint. It looks professional. I think that's a big thing. And then for me in general, I'm a big fan of a kit that is good to wear. So something that when you wear it as a fan, like it doesn't just look good on television, it actually looks good in person. It's something that you'd want to buy and wear yourself. So I think those are two little things that I sort of look for. What about you?
I think you made a really good point about good to wear because I remember wearing that old Melbourne Heart turtleneck kappa one in the middle of
Yeah,
summer, which was a
exactly.
nightmare. Like, I think we quite often get, if there are different templates for different kit suppliers, they'll just give us that template kit. But because we've been a summer league for the majority of our 16 seasons now, it can be real challenging wearing some of those winter kits throughout the summer months. So the thing that I really look for is I try and find like we all love the aesthetics of a good kit, but I really like that we're now in a position where clubs are starting to actually create their own brand through their kit and through their teamwear and whatever
Yes.
else. Early seasons of the league, like every team was sponsored by Reebok and it was all just different color palettes of the same kit, which was cool and it helped us find our feet. And then we started to kind of, let bigger clubs start to pick their and choose their own kit suppliers and whatever else. And now, as we go through this list, we're going to see there's a whole bunch of different kit suppliers that are keen to get involved in the A-League market, which I think is very exciting. There's international sponsors, there's international kit manufacturers. We are starting to get, like that real unique flair and that real signature kit style for a variety of these different clubs, which I think is fantastic to see. Some of them we will talk about in a little bit more depth as to whether they're sticking with that style or straying from it year to year and remaining inconsistent. And then I think some of the other stuff that we're going to go through we can highlight in our rankings list. But as always, we are going to rank these from All-Star all the way down to Get in the Bin. So we've got All-Star, Decent, Needs Improvement, and Get in the Bin. And as we always do, we've set our ranking rules. So if you and I can't immediately think of where we want this one positioned or have an immediate opinion about where this goes, our backup options to talk around first the style of the kit, how good we think it looks, the customization involved. Is this a template kit? And is this the same kit used by a variety of different clubs around the world? Or is this something specifically developed for this A-League side and something, specific to the region? And there is some fantastic stuff we'll talk about as we get through some of these kits relating to that. The sponsor, because I think a sponsor can add a lot to a lot to a kit. I think it can take a lot away as well if it looks really like chintzy and horrific. And then the
Yep,
last one,
definitely.
and this one's kind of like our tiebreaker. If we're struggling to position something in a certain area or think where it fits, we will start then bringing in the shorts and the socks. Because I think some kits look fantastic if you're wearing a pair of jeans with it and hanging out in the stands. Others look great if you're wearing them, but only if you're wearing them with a certain like shorts, socks, color combination. So that's how we're going to separate each of our things today. Anything that you think that we've left out or also is worthy of discussion as far as kits are concerned, and specifically the A-League kits themselves?
Well, I think we've got it pretty well covered. I think there might be, one or two other things that sort of come up as we go through the list, but I think that's a great place to start. I think we're ready to roll.
And as always, for people watching along, we will put the link to this tier list in the description and in the comment section below so you can send us your own versions. And if there's anything you think we've missed about how to measure the quality of a kit, by all means, let us know down below. We haven't gone with anything like shape or fit or anything like that because reality is, as much as we wish reserve team brought in a whole bunch of cash for us and we can buy all these kits from each of the clubs, we haven't actually seen them and tried them on. We'd just be like kind of guessing. So we're purely going on like visual aesthetic for a lot of the different stuff that we're going through. But by all means, if you've got one of your club's kits for this season and you absolutely hate the way it fits, let us know in the comment section below, because we do try and copy as much of your feedback as humanly possible across the channel. But if we're all good, Bran, I think we're ready to get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, first one, you can already see it up on the screen. Adelaide United. They are in the first year of a deal with Armadura, I believe is the sponsor that they've got there. They've brought out this pretty sharp looking red number. We had a couple of seasons ago in the FFA Cup, they started to integrate navy into their kit a little bit more. I think they had some FFA Cup special shorts that year. This year, they've taken it a step further, bringing some navy into the arms and shoulders, and of course, the additional yellow additions or detail on each of the sleeves and the neck itself. What are some of your thoughts on Adelaide's offering this year and this home kit?
I love it. I mean, we're starting off with a good one. I'm a big fan of the dark blue shoulders. I think the dark blue's sort of been maybe slightly underutilized in Adelaide's kits. I think it's something different, but it sort of fits in with their badge and their colors. And I really like that. I think the red pops. I like the sort of texture design on the front. When you see it on TV, it just will look like, a solid, vibrant red. But then when you wear it or you look at it up close, it sort of offers you something more than just a plain red template. You mentioned the sponsor. It's quite large, but it doesn't clash. There's no real sort of jarring impact there. So to be honest, I think we're starting off with an all-star, really. What about you?
Look, I'm in the same category. I think they've done a great job. I'm very excited to see how the Navy gets integrated in future years. Like you've said, they haven't done enough with it. I really enjoyed the FFA Cup kit the year that they had the Navy shorts. I think it gave them something unique. I think we got into like a little pocket in the A-League where everybody wanted to have singular color kits all the way through. So the shorts and the socks were always the same color. I kind of like that, clubs are starting to get away from that and develop their own taste and their own style over the next few years. I think they've done a good job, and I would maybe want to, and this is just my curiosity coming into it, like to see the Flinders University logo, and for the W League kit, the South Australian Power Networks logo. Maybe try that in yellow. I think they've done a great job. So the kit supplier logo, they've made yellow to match the A-League badge and to match the additional detail of the kit.
I like the little bit of yellow through the collar too.
Yeah, it looks sharp. There is some on the edge of the sleeves as well. It's difficult to tell in this photo, but what I would maybe want to see is maybe the Flinders University logo go to yellow as well, just to try and add that additional detail and get a bit more of a splash on the front of it. But I think it is a fantastic kit. I think it's probably in the all-star category for me as well.
Fantastic. We're in agreement. Right off the bat.
This could be the most top-heavy list that we've ever done at any point in the channel if this is how we're going to start in the first one. Now, we do jump across to the Adelaide United away kit. We will cover off home, away, and if they have one available at time of recording, a third kit. This is pretty much in a similar style, maybe a little bit more Ronald McDonald in the yellow and red colour scheme. But again, and this is where I'll give them credit, they've done the right things in terms of the sponsor logos. You can see the kit manufacturing logo, red, to support the detail on the kit itself. A-League logo, Adelaide United logo, switched to that colour palette as well. And the Australian Outdoor Living away sponsor is also made red, which I think stuff like that, just those little changes that are purely cosmetic, I think they add a tremendous amount to a kit each year. What are some of your thoughts on the Adelaide away kit?
Well, I'm the same. I love it as well. I think you've hit on the same thing that you mentioned for the Adelaide United home jersey, how the sponsor was white and didn't really sort of blend in with the colour palette. We've seen straight away here that the red really sort of works. I think you can take a few more design liberties with away kits than you can with home. So for me, the all yellow, I like it. I like the red sort of subtle horizontal pinstripes. Horizontal. Sorry, I almost got horizontal and vertical. Gee whiz. Yeah, horizontal pinstripes. Love it. I think it's great. I think it's a fantastic away kit. And I think, to be honest, Adelaide have got 2 all-stars, in my opinion.
All right, I'll go along with that. I don't think this is as strong as the home kit, to be completely honest. I think we haven't seen this one in its full glory yet, so I'm actually not 100% sure what colour the shorts and the socks are. If it's maybe red shorts and yellow socks, I think that looks like Ronald McDonald, but I still think it looks very sharp.
That could be a bit full on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the way that they've gone with that horizontal pinstripe that you mentioned. It'll be interesting to see if that's integrated anywhere else in the kit. Like we never really see,
Yeah.
hoop socks or anything in the A League. If
Hmm.
this is kind of like a yellow and red hoop sock and yellow shorts or something, that could be fantastic. It'll be interesting to see how this one actually looks on the pitch. But yeah, I'm more than happy to go All Star. I will put it behind the Adelaide United home kit. I don't think it's as strong. But yeah, I
Yep.
think strong offering from Adelaide, and I think Adelaide fans are probably looking at both of these kits and unfortunately having to put a bit of money into getting both of them this season because they are fantastic to see. Does take us to the next A-League side. Of course, Brisbane Roar. We're going alphabetically through these if you haven't figured it out already. They've been with Umbro now, I think, going into their 7th season. By all means, correct me in the comment section below. Long-term history with that. They've had Umbro kits for a lot of their triumphs in the league as well. Very successful period worn during that Umbro kit. This is supposed to be a throwback kit to the era where Matt Mackay lifted their initial A-League trophy. It takes a lot of the same design template and kind of integrates it into a 2020 style. We can see some very dark, it's almost a black. I think it is technically a dark brown on the shoulders and on the edges of the neck and the arms there. And a kind of a diamond shaped formation across the pattern there in orange. It can be difficult to see, but we will try and put links to all this stuff over on Twitter as well so that you can go and check out each of these kits. And we have got some articles coming up on the website with some higher definition video and image. What are some of your thoughts initially on Brisbane's offering this year?
Initially, I like it. I think it's a safe bet. I'm not convinced it's brown. I thought it was black personally on the shoulders, but I mean, that might just be me. I didn't realize that
it
it was.
looks black to me, but when we read like that marketing blurb about like it calls back to the black, the orange, and the brown that they had in that 2011 season, to me it looks like black, and to me
All right.
the Actron Air stuff looks like black, but they're
Yep.
telling me that apparently it's based on the brown that they had in I think the
Right.
2011 season. But again, like I read it as black. I think it is.
Well, okay, so assuming that it is black, I don't mind it. I think it's a bit safe, but I think the black on the shoulder makes it something other than just an all orange kit. The sponsor, it's not too jarring at all. I do like the small. What did we say they were? The diamond.
Pattern
What's the
that
word?
they've got
Sorry.
across it.
Yeah, pattern. Yeah, perfect. I think that adds a nice little element again. So if you're wearing it, it's not just a plain orange top. For me, I think it's decent. I don't think it's remarkable, but at the same time, I don't think it's ugly at all.
I would actually make a case to put this in needs improvement status. Look, there's a lot that I like about it. Okay, like I think it's good that they've gone primary orange. I think that's fantastic. I think it's good that the A-League logo they've worked in isn't the Brisbane like the usual A-League color palette that they have. They've gone for the white and the black. I think they've done really well getting Actron Air to have a black logo. That's fantastic because I think it adds to the detail of the kit. But I would put this in needs improvement because there are a few other Umbro kits that follow the same pattern. The shoulders aren't the same, but I have seen other kits that also have a similar diamond pattern from Umbro this year. It is the Umbro logo effectively turned on its side. So it's nothing. If we look
Yes.
at the style's fine, it doesn't blow me away. I don't look at this kit and think that's a good looking kit. I wish I had that one, or I wish one of our sides had brought something bigger to the table. Customization though, I think it loses a point because it's based on the Umbro logo. It's not specifically based on anything relating to Brisbane. Sponsors fine, shorts and socks they're fine. They're all straightforward. But I would maybe say needs improvement because it's not quite as customized as some of the other ones that we're going to talk about that come up. And I think the Adelaide kit that we've already gone through. But I'm happy with the bottom end of decent if that's where you think's more appropriate.
Well, let's go. Again, we always sort of visit it at the end. Let's go top of needs improvement, and then we'll see where we are at the end. But as in my opinion, I don't think it's a bad kit. I think it's just sort of a very safe bet, straightforward, classic sort of Brisbane Roar kind of look.
Yeah, and that does take us to the away kit. Obviously, not the easiest one to get photos of. Now, it's basically just the inverted colour palette. The same thing that we praised about Adelaide, they've done here as well, where they've gone with the white and orange version of the Brisbane Roar logo, which is great. I think they've got the A-League logo on there to get that splash of orange. It's basically the exact same kit, but just in white. Where I would say this loses points is that Actron Air, instead of going with the color logo of the palette, which would maybe be orange and maybe I think add a lot more to it, they've gone with their black writing and blue logo, which is their standard logo structure. What are some of your thoughts on the away kit?
I think it's basic. For me, my initial thoughts are need improvement. I don't mind the blue. Again, I think there's certain things that you can get away with an away or a third kit that you can't do on a home kit. So I think the blue Acton Air logo on an orange kit would just not work at all. I think it's sort of passable on a white kit because it doesn't, the contrast isn't as offensive. Um, so for me, I'm thinking I rate it less than the home kit, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll go needs improvement as well. We'll put the two Brisbane. So far, we've got Adelaide together and Brisbane together. So let's throw them both together, and then we might have a look at the end and see if there's anything that we think needs to move up or down. Again, it just seems a bit like generic, a bit cookie cutter to me. Like last year, they had, I think, a silver away kit, and then they had a really not sharp, that's probably not the right word, but they had an interesting maroon third kit because they're trying to push that narrative of New South Wales, Queensland, State of Origin, whatever else. We don't need it in the league, but they still bring out that kit and it gives them something extra. So it will be interesting to see if they bring out that third kit again this year and try and get that maroon going again. But yeah, I think this is just a very basic kit. You know, like I think early years of the A-League, everyone had a home kit and then a wide away kit, and it kind of feels like that. Like we've gone back a step in terms of just generic away structures. Sorry, you were going to add something there?
Yeah. Just very quickly before we move on to the next one. When you talk about design elements, there is no design element to this kit. It's literally just a white jersey. And I think, as I've already said before, you know, with your away and your third kit, you can take far more liberties. You can go crazier colours, funky patterns. You know, you don't have to follow the same traditions that you do necessarily with the home kit. And so then to roll out just a plain all white effort for me is just sort of really average. You're just like, you look at it, no one would want to buy this. I can't imagine. So,
and to be honest, like
bottom needs improvement, potentially putting it in the bin.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think you can do good stuff with white, but it depends what you couple it with as well. I think if this was,
I'm a Fulham fan, man, so I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Like if this was like orange shorts maybe as well, and then maybe white socks, like that'd kind of be a bit sharper and a bit more clean. But it's not. It's all white. So maybe a missed opportunity to do something unique and something interesting. We jump now to the Central Coast. They are in a few-year sponsorship deal with Umbro. I don't know 100% how I feel with this one. This was one of the last kits to come out. So there is potential that they haven't actually manufactured quite a few of these. I think this is an embroidered badge, judging by it, which is the only one that I think is in a sublimated print. They've got the Umbro kit there. They've got a navy collar this year, that little, I don't know what you call it, additional detail for where the buttons would be. There is only one button on it, so I'm not sure what purpose it serves. Navy on the shoulders and on the arms as well. Big old, I think it's brown or red Masterfoods logo across the middle, which they've had for a good few seasons. What are some of your thoughts on Central Coast's kit and what they've offered this season?
I think it's decent. I think the biggest thing that I like about it is that they've moved away from the barcode trend. That was sort of a weird fashion A-League kit trend that was going on for a couple of years, and I don't know where it came from, don't know why it lasted so long. The Victory had it as well. They had like the barcode look in their V. So I mean, I've got the Mariners kit up on the wall behind me that has the sort of barcode look. Last year it had it on the sleeve, so I like that they've gone back to a more traditional classic Central Coast Mariners kind of look. You know, in my opinion, when we're talking about design elements, you know, there's not really anything there to get too excited about, but it is just sort of, it's clean, it's basic, it fits the bill. For me, I think it is sort of bottom of decent, I imagine. I think the improvement has been had by the ditching of those weird barcode stripes. So that's what I sort of think. I don't mind the Masterfoods red. Maybe it's just because Masterfoods has become sort of symbolic with Central Coast. So for me, I like it.
I would like it a lot more if the Masterfoods logo was navy and then white writing, because I think if you go, and this is a new Masterfoods logo, so it's updated on last season's kit. I think if you go down to the shopping centre and walk through your local supermarket, they are now changing the colouring to match whatever sauce you're buying or whatever, stir fry sauce or whatever it is that you're getting. It would have been great to see them do that, to add a bit more navy to it and give it a bit more of that flair. The challenge that I've got, and we're trying to just mark this on the 2020-2021 kits, but I think you make a really good point about clubs kind of being inconsistent in their offerings each year, where they've had stripes for probably the last 4 or 5 seasons, and now they're getting away from it again. They've had in their history, they had a great Hummel kit back in the day, the years that they had like Mustafa Amini and Tom Rogic and stuff. They wore that Hummel kit that kind of had that central stripe, almost like an inverted Boca Juniors kind of kit, which I liked quite a lot. I want to see something from Central Coast that's just like a consistent branding and a consistent offering outside of just being navy and yellow every year. Like try and add something to it. Like have a sash permanently, have a stripe permanently. Even the barcode, I don't like it, but it was at least something that they were trying to carve out as being their key identity, that we are navy and yellow stripes. And now they've kind of just gone back to a relatively generic kit. I'm happy to put this in decent. I don't think this is any really different to the Brisbane Raw offering, though, to be completely honest. I think it's a very by the numbers, very safe kit. It's basically the Mariners colours and the Master Foods logo. That's it. That's all that they've done to it. I don't think there's anything unique. The part of the reason that I think is strange is that it's got the embroidered Central Coast Mariners logo on there, which makes me think, okay, they've just bought a whole bunch of generic logos and, stapled on or stitched in the embroidery. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not as sold on this one as you are, but I'm happy to put it in decent for now. We might come back at the end and have a chat. I think it is a safe offering. I don't look at it and think, oh, that's a great kit. I want to buy that. Sorry, mate, go for it.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was going to say, I totally agree. My basis for putting it in decent over needs improvement is I would have looked at last year's kit with the barcodes and say, yep, that needs improvement, and I think they have. So I still think it could use additional improvement, but I think they have improved on last year's sort of offering. So that's sort of my reasoning for where I think it stands.
Yeah, fair enough. We now head to their away kit. I have cropped this to try and get as much of the kit as possible, but this is being worn by Matt Simon, and if you Google this image and check it out on our Twitter, I will post it, but he's the most miserable looking marketing person I've ever seen in my life. As far as modelling a kit for the upcoming season, he could not look more upset and depressed with the situation. Again, it's pretty straightforward. It's basically just kind of the same navy shoulders and collar and button-up area, but they've also gone with a slightly lighter shade of blue with some chevrons and some arrows pointing towards the top of the kit itself. Not anything specific, I think, to the not the Gold Coast region. Apologies, Gold Coast and Central Coast fans, but nothing specific to the Central Coast area. More just a different colour palette or a varied colour palette in the second kit. What are some of your thoughts on the away offering this year?
I don't mind it. I think it's sort of crazy not crazy. So I think it's sort of like, a little bit more out there in terms of design, where they've sort of taken that kind of some of those liberties that we were speaking about earlier, and they've gone, yep, cool, let's throw in some funky patterns and that sort of stuff. But at the same time, the blue on blue, I think it sort of stops it from looking too outrageous and too ridiculous. I don't mind it. I think as an away kit, it's a good offering because it is, something totally different to their home kit. And it's not just an inverse of their home kit either, where they've gone, hey, let's actually sort of design something here. So I don't mind it. I'm leaning towards decent just because it's something different.
Here's where
it hasn't got a sponsor on the front either. I think it could use a touch more gold personally, but I don't mind it.
Here's where I'll counter, right? They've got a lot of navy on their home kit. So navy shoulders, navy arms, navy shorts. Their away kit is mostly navy as well. So I think if you're looking at all the colours across the colour spectrum, all the colours of the rainbow, you can do anything you want with an away kit. There is no real stuff that you're stuck to. They could have picked any colour. I think if this was a different colour set, something completely different, I would like it a lot more for the same reason you've said. It's got some level of customization. It's got some level of unique pattern on it, which I think deserves credit. But at the same time, I think it's not that dissimilar to the home kit. I don't think they've varied it all that much. They do have a third kit, which we'll talk about in a moment. I'm happy to put this in decent, if that's where you think it sits. But I think there's a bit that we'll come back to relating to maybe the way that we're doing it this week is we can't just compare the individual kits to each other, because that becomes a challenge. Because I think what takes away from this away kit looking fine, is the fact that it's so similar to the home kit. So they do kind of relate a little bit. So maybe we can loop back in when we go through our challenge and see comparatively where they sit. And then also I think when we get into the decent category, there's quite a few kits they're nice kits, but they're not
Yep.
blow away kits. So I think decent's going to fill up quite quickly. So maybe we'll come back and have a look
Yeah.
at the end. It does bring us
Yeah,
to
definitely.
the third kit for Central Coast Mariners, which I like quite a bit more, which is the Segway there. It's still got that. It's got silver on it and grey. It's still the same chevron pattern that we just saw on the blue kit. It's got a little bit of navy on the arms there that you can see. If this was the away kit, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. I get it. They're trying to go for a similar color palette with navy represented, but a completely different color to allow them to play against some of the darker sides or darker kits in the division itself. I'm not sure where they're going to use this kit as a third kit, to be completely honest, because it's not FFA Cup specific. It's not anything relating to a specific competition, and Central Coast are just playing in the A-League this season. Again, embroidered logo, not a whole lot in terms of custom stuff there from Umbro. It's the same pattern that they used on the away kit. What are some of your thoughts on the third kit offering, and where do you think it stands?
I'm not as much of a fan of it as the away kit personally. I think we're opposite there. I don't know. It's just all grey for me. It's not a look I've ever really been much of a fan of. I'm not a big fan of the all white A-League badge. It sort of fades in there. It doesn't really stand out. But again, having said that, I don't know if you really want the A-League crest to pop. I don't know if that's a big thing. One thing I've just sort of noticed taking a look at it, I'm having a look at on my other screen here, is the badges seem to be quite low. I don't know if that's just me, but the A-League logo and the Mariners badge on either side sort of seem to be a little bit lower than I would have anticipated. So I'm not see if you look at the home kit, it sort of seems a little bit higher up. Is that just me?
No, I think you're right. I think maybe it's to do with the collar structure. So the home kit has a collar that has a button on it. I don't. There is a button there. Maybe it's just the way that Matt Simon and
I don't know.
think this one's Kai Rouse are wearing it. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. If you look at their
it looks a
home
bit
kit,
saggy almost.
yeah, if you look at the home kit as well, they've got that Navy A-League logo. That would probably look a lot sharper on the wider kit if it was a navy to match the Umbro logo and the additional detail on the edges. Where do you think we position this one?
I think to be honest, probably above the away kit. I like the away kit more, but that's just sort of like my personal taste. I think, as you were saying, for something different, like it's not just that same sort of blue. I think the pattern pops a little bit more. I'm not in love with the pattern, but it's, it's on there. So I think that sort of stands out a little bit more. But yeah, those sort of lower badges are a little bit off-putting for me. But overall, I love a shirt with a collar, and they've gone for a collar on all three. I think that's great.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't love any of these Central Coast kits, and I think they probably would go lower in my list. But yeah, I do agree that the silver offering or the grey offering or whatever we're going to call it is better than the all navy away kit. But again, like I don't look at it and think that's a kit I want or that's a kit I'd want to wear. So, I don't know where that challenge comes in. Maybe Central Coast Mariners fans feel differently and they can let us know in the comment section below. But this group of kits was one of the last ones released by only the A-League clubs. And it made me think in the back of my mind, they've got something big coming and that's why they're holding on to it. Not we're going to wait until 3 weeks out from the season and then just release kind of like a generic template kit, which is an interesting one. But that's fine. We can come back to those as we go through our final list.
And once we get everything on there, we might be able to see it, a little bit better, and we might bump it down a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. The next one, and we don't have an actual photo of this kit because it hasn't been seen anywhere yet. It is the concept kit for Macarthur, their home kit, and their inaugural kit brought to us by, I've completely forgotten the name of that brand.
Believe it is Macron.
Macron, thank you. I knew I was going to get it eventually. No, I recognise the logo from those Perth Glory nipple kits from last year. But they have gone with an all-white kit, a black kind of raised collar, black attributes and detail across the arms there as well. Wisdom Homes as the main sponsor, following that white and black colour palette. They've also got this kind of silhouette of their logo, the bull, in the bottom right-hand corner as well. It can be difficult to see on the screen, but there will be a good image on our Twitter later today. And a little bit of gold added in there as well, just towards the base here to add to their A-League logo palette. What are some of your thoughts on the initial offering from Macarthur?
Well, I'll be honest, I really like it. When you look at the sort of A-League colour palette for all the, across the board, there was no white or predominantly white team before Macarthur. So I like that they've gone for straight up white and straight up black. I'm a fan of that. as far as this kit goes, I'll be honest, I quite like it. I like the white, I like the black, I like the way they've sort of mixed in the gold without being too over the top. Sponsor looks good. The collar looks decent. I like the sort of the gold detailing in there. Macron, the badge on the shoulder, it's not too large, which I know Macron have done previously. They've sort of not been afraid to staple a giant Macron logo on a kit. So I think that's good. I'll give them a pass on the bull. I'm not a huge fan, but I think it's subtle enough that it's not too offensive. So for me, I think it's decent, and I think it rates higher than the Mariners, all three Mariners kits personally.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think this is one of those ones where, and this is just my own being pedantic personal preference comes into it. I want to see what the shorts and socks look like. We don't know yet. Basically, the kit that MacArthur's worn is a training kit, the silver one that they've worn in their friendlies to date, and that has black shorts and black socks. If this is like black shorts, white socks, I think that looks really sharp. I think that'd be something cool that we haven't seen in the league. I'm not shocked that you, as a Fulham fan, quite enjoy a white and black kit in the A-League itself. But yeah, I think a good addition, and I got to give credit, and I'll try and be consistent. When the sponsor logo changes their color to match the color palette of the kit itself, I think that's absolutely perfect. So yeah, a decent first offering. We'll see how they actually look when they run out in round one. And hopefully we'll see stands full at Campbelltown Stadium with our fans wearing the same kit and the same colours as well. We do jump across to their away kit, a very similar offering. It follows basically almost an inverted colour palette where they've moved to a black primary colour, gold, additional detailing, including the Macron and sponsorship logo, and the silhouette of the bull logo moves to a grey as well. What are some of your thoughts on the away kit that they've presented season one?
I quite like it. I think it's a pretty sort of simplistic design, but I think it works. I like the way where they've upped the gold on the away kit. It really sort of pops and stands out more on that sort of black, or not black, sort of dark grey kind of charcoal colour. I think that looks really good. I think going charcoal over just a straight all black kit was a good choice as well. I quite like that too. Again, you can get a better look at the bull. I don't know how I feel about it being off center, but again, I'm willing to sort of give it a pass, Mark, as a sort of design element there that makes it something more than just a plain shirt. As you said with the sponsor, I do like the gold there as well. I think it works quite well.
This one's a tough one to rank. If this has got gold shorts, I put it real high. If it's just all black, all charcoal, just kind of, I'm a bit whatever on it.
If it's got charcoal top, charcoal shorts, gold socks, I think I'd give that a pass as well.
Yeah.
For me, I think it sits right behind MacArthur, to be honest. Or would you have the Central Coast home kit ahead of it?
Look, I like this one better than I think the home kit. Yep.
MacArthur or Central Coast's home kit?
MacArthur's home kit.
Ooh.
I don't think Central Coast is in the right tier for me at the moment, the longer that this goes on. Right. But I'm happy with either. I'll defer to you. Which do you prefer, the home MacArthur offering or the away one?
Oh no, I'm gonna defer straight back to you because I'm biased as a Fulham fan, because you know what I'm gonna say, so it's up to you.
For the sake of consistency, right? We've gone Adelaide home, Adelaide away. We'll go MacArthur home, MacArthur away. We've done the same for Central Coast. We've done the same for Brisbane. So look, I think that's my personal opinion is that I think it's the sharper one. But again, if it's just all charcoal, that's fine. Whatever. I think they've got a real cool opportunity to maybe do some gold shorts and do something that we haven't seen in the league itself.
Be nuts.
That'd be very, very good.
Nuts.
If you've got, this is the thing with the away kits, right? If you've got every color in the world that you get to pick from, and you just do the inverse of the home kit, then I kind of just whatever. Okay, cool, that's fine. But if they do something a bit unique with it and try and bring out more of the gold that's in the MacArthur badge, I'm all for it. I think that would be great. We will talk about just being the inverse of other kits when we go through some of the upcoming clubs. The next one, though, and we have to acknowledge our bias immediately, it is the Melbourne City home kit for this season. Third year with Puma. They've had a couple of different kits come throughout that period. This one is potentially the most customised. I actually do have this kit. I can go and grab it because we can actually do thing on it here.
This is amazing.
So
let's see. All right,
it does
here
have
we go.
A pretty decent pattern to it. Which is kind of unique. I haven't seen this pattern anywhere across the rest of the Puma colour palette. It's almost like I don't even know what you would call that shape, to be honest. Like a Not quite a chevron, some additional detail to the top of it. Decent kit. It's got the collar as well, just a different style collar. Got the button and the additional white detail on each of the sides matches the Puma logo. Etihad Airways in navy to match the A-League navy colour palette as well.
Nice.
All the stuff that's represented within the Melbourne City logo. Not any red on this year's home kit. They have in previous years put a little bit of red detail on there, but otherwise, like it's fine. It's sharp. We've spoken about this in previous episodes and previous podcasts where if Melbourne City had white shorts, I would put this in an elite tier kit. I still think this is a good kit, but I think the shorts and socks combination kind of comes into it a little bit. And again, for the second year in a row, it's just all city blue, all the way up and down, which I think is a little bit more of a challenge. Even white socks I would take at this point, just to try and get some sort of variation, some sort of additional detail in there. What are some of your thoughts on City's offering this year?
Well, so again, I know we're biased, but I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. I think, I don't know, it's just sort of, it's boring. You know, I'm just going to say it. It is like, yeah, as a City fan, you go, all right, you know, kit reveal, great. Oh, I know exactly what we're going to wear. It's just going to be a plain, basic, all blue kit. I want to see something different. You know, when you look across the City football group, you know, New York City, where, you know, some different stuff. There's, what are they, Montevideo in Uruguay. You know, they've got a little bit more of a sort of diverse. Mumbai City as well have, a little bit more of a diverse pattern on the front. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the diamonds. Initially, I hadn't noticed that when I first saw it. I think that does make it more, again, than just like a plain kit. But for me, when you throw in, as you said, the blue socks and the blue shorts, I'm just going, man, that's a lot of blue, and none of it is very exciting. So for me, I think it's in the needs improvement category.
Oh yeah, that's a bit rough. I do.
I'm calling it. It's just like, you know, it's been the same thing for 3 years, and it's just, none of it's exciting.
Look, like here's what I'll say. I don't disagree with the needs improvement part of it. I think if this was, because we're judging it as it is, which is an all blue kit, yeah, it's kind of like, whatever, that's fine. It does the job. I don't think that even the additional like kind of diamond detail for the background, it's not anything unique to Melbourne, and it's not anything unique to Melbourne City. It's just a pattern.
No.
It's a pattern for the sake of a pattern.
Yep.
I still think this kit's better than Central Coast's, and I think maybe like realistically, right? If we were placing it based on the current list, I think it goes up here, but I think it goes in needs improvement as well. So I think Central Coast has to come down.
Well, okay, yeah. We'll pull. Yeah, let's do it. Pull the Central Coast Mariners.
We'll go through it at the end. And we'll compare it against the other ones. I don't think. Yeah, it's not a bad kit, but again, it's just like, yeah, we know what we're getting with Melbourne City at this point. They haven't done too much to kind of change stuff year on year. It's an improvement on last year, which was just a basic generic sky blue kit that I didn't even get. I got the polo instead. But this year I was like, okay, they've tried to do something. They've tried to get some sort of pattern on it. They've tried to get something unique. But again, like white shorts would make this a top tier kit for me. It doesn't have them. It's got blue shorts. So we'll go in needs improvement category. Moving across to the away kit. Now, a lot gets made every year about incorporating some sort of red into our kit based on our Melbourne Heart history. We've now been Melbourne City for much longer than we were ever Melbourne Heart, and we've won a lot more and qualified for our first A-League Grand Final as Melbourne City. I will give this credit because it's got Etihad Airways, the sponsor logo, the Puma logo, the A-League and Melbourne City logos in that inverted colour palette where they've just gone white on a black background for each of this. I'm a big fan of clubs doing more stuff like that. I think it's great. But it kind of has... This is what you'd expect a decrepit house to look like if someone had decided they wanted to repaint it red and then given up after an afternoon or gotten too much sun and had to go and have a sit down. It's just these weird kind of like nonsensical paint stripes across it. They've played a couple of friendlies in this kit and you cannot tell from a distance or on broadcast that there is any red involved in it at all. So there's a part of me that, and it's a cynical part, that makes me think, well, what was the point then? Like, why didn't we just go black? Would have been fine. What are some of your thoughts on the away kit offering this year?
I'm going to be honest, I like it. So one of my big criticisms for Melbourne City with their kit, what would you call it, kit portfolio as a whole, I think that's a good word. I think we might have to might have to adopt it. Thought of that on the spot. Anyway, getting bogged down here. Melbourne City, so you knew all the time that they're going to have an all-blue home kit. You knew that they were going to have a red and white stripe away kit. Or third kit, and then they're going to have one kit that might be something different. So I think this fits into the different category nicely. I agree where I would have thought the red would have stood out more. Um, but having said that, again, from a wearability point of view, if you buy it, you're going to be able to see it. So I think it sort of fits that bill nicely of, will look good on TV and also look good to wear. So in my opinion, I quite like it. I like that it's a different design. I think you were saying before, though, you've seen this design or this template through
Yeah.
a few other leagues as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's in French. I have a feeling it's like Dijon or someone like that. I'll try and find it while
Yeah.
we've got the conversation going here.
I mean, the one thing that I will say is, like, even if there are other teams that have it, and there's just so many teams in the world that that there's going to be an element of templateness to pretty much all of them. It's not a super mainstream one, and it's not just like a rehashing of a design that we've seen before. So for me, I like it more than the home kit. For me, I think it's decent. I think it sits alongside the Mariners away and third kits. And the more and more that I see that Mariners home kit in that tier, I keep agreeing with you more that it probably needs to come down. But I think it sits alongside the Mariners away and third kit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will put this in needs improvement, but I'd be happy to put it above the home kit to
Yep,
kind
yeah,
of
let's do
try and
that.
meet you halfway. I'm flicking through
Yep.
the League One kits now, and I cannot find it, but there is another club out there because I've seen it on Football Manager and I've seen it on FIFA and stuff as well. So I think it loses. I think it loses credit for that. It's basically just a generic away kit or a generic Puma kit that they have then printed their city logos on. And I think it just
Right.
happens to have that splash of red on it, and that's how they're kind of trying to get around it this year. So I'll put it above the Melbourne City kit, or the home kit. But
Mhm.
again, like I don't like I've got no interest in buying this one, to be completely honest, and I don't really have any interest in seeing it on the pitch because our next kit, this white and red pinstripe number. Now let's get this conversation out of the way early. I don't think we
Yep.
need to be Melbourne Heart anymore. I don't think we need to have a red and white kit every year. Obviously, there's a big part of the fan base that has a meltdown and starts kicking and screaming if we don't have red and white stripes at some point. This is like a pinstripe model, so it's very, very minimal red. It's basically like, how do they still do that kit but put the least amount of red on it as humanly possible? You can see much more evidently the red edition around the neck and around the sleeves as well. That tiny pinstripe there may be difficult to pick up on the screen and on visibility here, but it is there. What are some of your thoughts on the third kit offering?
I like it. I'm sort of half in the same boat as you. I don't think we have to keep being Melbourne Heart, but I think it is appropriate to sort of recognise your roots and your heritage. I think that always needs to be part of the city, of Melbourne City, sorry. So I think keeping red and white in the colour palette and also keeping it in the jersey portfolio is important. Again, having said that, though, going back to what I was saying before, you always knew that City were going to have an all blue and a red and white stripes. So what I like about this is at least it's different. So it's not your traditional red and white bar stripe that we normally see. I think I've got it over that shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That
you
shoulder.
got it.
There it is.
That's the one.
Yeah, turn the right way this time. I like it because it's something different, So it sort of pays homage to that red and white kind of look. You go, yep, cool. No, that box ticked, but it's not just the same basic red and white stripe design. So from my point of view, I like it. The one thing I will say, I was at Rebel Sport the other day and I did see it in person. I wish there was more pinstripes on them. They're quite spread out. So I think, pinstripes are subtle, in particularly a white kit with red stripes on it. They're not going to be super bold anyway. So I would have liked it if maybe there was a few more. But for me, I think this one is my favourite Melbourne City kit. What about you?
Yeah, look, I think it's okay. So I think
It's
that
a simplistic design. It is a simplistic design, but it's something totally different from what we've seen from Melbourne City, and I don't really. Yeah, I like it.
see. I think the part that you said was we know that we're getting a City Blue home kit and we know we're getting a red and white away kit. This is kind of why I want to just get away from the red and white so that we can do something different each year and that we can have, unique structures and styles and unique patterns and unique color palettes for our away kit.
But I think this is. I think it is
That's
different.
yeah. No, I agree. that's kind of what I want to see and why I want us to get away from that and do something different. This should be our away kit. Like this should be
Yes.
this
Yeah,
should
yeah.
be okay, this is completely
Definitely.
different to the home kit. This is still giving everyone what they want, which is the reverse color palette. This we can actually wear against other sides. Like we can't wear our away kit against Western United or even Newcastle to an extent because they've got additional red on their home kit. We can't wear it against Wellington. Like there's a few different sides that we can't play this one in anyway. Not that we would because the Sky Blue really only clashes with the Sydney FC games. But then at that point, let's use this kit for when we play Melbourne Victory away. Let's use this kit for when we play Sydney FC away because it's completely the polar opposite and completely different. I think it's interesting that given the opportunity last year going into our first grand final, knowing that we had to wear an away kit, that they went with the red and white option. And yes, there was a vocal group on Twitter that were trying to push for that. I think it goes into decent category. I think it sits behind MacArthur at the bottom of the decent category as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I don't... Did we need 3 kits? Probably not. So I think it goes above that one in that respect.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's my favourite Melbourne City kit.
Yeah. And of course, we shouldn't do it, but we always do. Compare ourselves with our local neighbours, Melbourne Victory, who's the next kit that we move across to. Full disclosure, Brand, this is the same kit template that Fulham's currently using, so you need to acknowledge whatever bias you've got at the moment. It's got kind of that, this isn't the right way to do it, but it's almost like either like a Taekwondo neck kind of thing or like a gi almost, where it's got that very sharp V structure and that very thick neck built into the collar of the shirt, which we've seen quite a bit. I think the Japanese national team also has a similar kit style from Adidas this year. It does, of course, have the now signature Melbourne Victory V across it with no barcode detail that you've mentioned previously. It's just a very thick branding this year. They've got Metricon as their home sponsor, which is great. Metricon also a white kit. White logo. I think adds a little bit to it as well. And they do have kind of like a marble sort of pattern behind this kit. It is difficult to pick up on the shirt itself, but it does have... It's not just navy. It's navy with a brief, different, subtle change in the pattern behind it. What are some of your thoughts on Adidas and Melbourne Victory's offering this season?
I like it. To be honest. I think it's a simple, classic Melbourne Victory kit. It's sort of nothing too outrageous, but I think that marble effect, you're right. When you get a good look at it, it just sort of, again, makes it more than just a straight all blue jersey. So I quite like that. On the collar, that does seem to be an Adidas thing across the board. Fulham do have the same color. I have that jersey. It is a little bit strange. It's not quite as bad as the Kappa turtleneck, but it does have a little bit of the same kind of vibe to it. I'm not a huge fan. Fulham's kit also has like a weird white bar stripe along the sleeves, so I like that the Victory haven't got that because I think it looks better without it. The Fulham one, it's too light. Anyway, without getting too lost in what we're actually talking about, I quite like it. I think it's decent, to be honest. I don't think you can expect too much different from the Victory now. They have that iconic look, so I think their home kit is always going to be more, as you mentioned. I think this is a good one.
See, here's my criticism of it, right? I think the V looks weird, and I don't know if it's that the V is positioned...
It looks a bit narrower at the top.
No, I actually think it looks too thick, and it comes down too far.
Okay.
Like Metricon as a sponsor logo, it starts... And let's be honest, like we've been in lockdown in Melbourne for the majority of 2020. Most of us coming out of it with, that little lockdown belly that a few of us are picking up based on not being able to go out and do anything for the last year. So it really sits across kind of your midriff, that Metricon logo. Whereas if it's sat... In previous years, they have done a different angle to the Victory kit, closer to what is on the actual logo itself, which isn't... I know it's supposed to represent a V, but it's not as high angled as a V would usually be. I think if it was a little bit thinner, a white V, and a little bit better angled so that it was higher up on the kit and you therefore move Metricon up a little bit, I think it offers quite a bit more. To me, this kind of comes across as one of those South American kits that has 58 different logos on it. So you've got like a top logo, a middle logo, and a bottom logo, and they've just gone with the middle one. So that's where I would kind of take a little bit away from it. I think it goes in decent, but I think it goes back end of decent. I think it's probably ahead of the Melbourne City third kit. Where is that about where you're thinking?
Hurts my soul a little bit, but I would say probably yes. I have hesitations, but I have a feeling that those hesitations are biased. So I will let it slide, and I will agree. I do agree.
Maybe if you like squint at it, it'll look like it's white and black, and you can just pretend it's a Fulham kit for the time
And
being,
just
and we'll go from there.
no, won't be doing that. Anyway, just quickly on the Metricon one, I do agree that it looks a little bit too low, but at the same time, I don't know where else you put it. Like if you bump it up, it would be over the top of the V, which would just look really, really weird. But then I guess you're right, where the way to fix that is have, a shallower V or a smaller V. But
Yeah,
now that you've pointed that out, I am looking at it and going, do you know what? Yeah. Like it looks like it would almost start where if we compare it to Brisbane, where like Acton Air, like the bottom of Acton Air is. So, but yeah, anyway.
I don't know if this is going to work, but we're gonna wing it and we're gonna try it anyway. Let's
Jeez.
try and get this across. Is this actually going to recover for us? It's not, but Melbourne Victory's barcode V last year was much higher up on the kit, and it allowed Metricon to
Okay.
not sit as low. So I think because they've done it in previous years, I kind of look at it and think, okay, why couldn't they do it this time? But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the way they've angled that V is too low for my taste and my preferences. But otherwise, it's a sharp kit. They've done a good job, and they've also done, I think, a fantastic job on the away kit as well, which we now transition across to. All white this season. They've gone with still the V, and it's still very low. Metricon will sit around your belly button if you are, struggling, trying to get back into fitness after lockdown this year. But what it does have, and it's very difficult to pick up on this image, these aren't creases that you can see across the bottom of the shirt. It is actually a silhouette map of Melbourne and the surrounding suburbs. So where you can kind of see if you follow the mouse that's on screen at the moment, that's the Yarra River. Melbourne Victory plays around this area. It continues all the way around the back of the kit to get the eastern and western suburbs. Really, I think when we talk about style, it's in the right style for the club. I think it's a sharp looking kit in terms of matching the colour palette of both the club logo and the league logo itself. And that customisation of having the map of Melbourne on there, I think really puts this one pretty high on my list. I don't know if it's quite Adelaide United territory, but I think this is a very, very sharp kit, as much as it pains me to admit that for Melbourne Victory. What are some of your thoughts on it, Bran?
I think it's all-star. I'm going to say it straight away. I think this is a very, 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 very good kit. I like the all-white. I think it works well with the blue. It sort of pops. And I think the huge element is the thing that you mentioned, the maps or maps of Melbourne throughout the design. I think that is a great design element. It really sort of, I don't know, it's perfect. I mean, it says a lot. It sort of gives the kit another layer again. So when you're wearing it, I know I've said this about 500 times, but I'll say it again. So it's not just all white, but then that additional layer has extra context and extra meaning. And, it's something that I don't think we've really seen with Adidas anywhere on any other kits this year, where they've sort of incorporated that design. I think it is fantastic. In my opinion, I think the Adelaide United kit looks better, but I would almost argue that the Victory kit would be ahead of it, just because of this. It's far more well thought out, and this says, not only does it say Melbourne Victory with the iconic V, it says Melbourne with the map on it. So I think there's a lot more thought and effort, and I think it's, when you factor that in, for me, this is the best kit we've seen so far.
Here's why I'll put it below the Adelaide United home kit, or why I'll argue for it to go below. It's still All-Star, we're just arguing minutiae about where it sits. I think it's a better away kit than the Adelaide away kit, even though I quite like the Adelaide away kit. We have said a criticism is when you just invert the colours of your home kit, and they have done that to an extent. What they have avoided the temptation of doing is making the V blue. And I think that helps this kit quite a bit, where there's a blue silhouette to it, so that you get that clear definition that the blue's still on there. That the V's still on there. There's a little bit of kind of silver and grey shadow to match their logo structure. So I think that's good. But what I would say is that it is still just like it's. Maybe if this it was the same design but a slightly different colour, getting away from the white and the blue, or the white and the navy, that would maybe add a little bit more to it for me. So that's why I don't put it ahead of the Adelaide kit, that it is just basically that thing of, okay, what's our away kit? Oh, it's just the reverse to our home kit. And that's kind of what it is from there. I don't think we've seen this one yet. I could be wrong. By all means, correct me in the comment section below. And again, if it's all white, that's fine. If it's got like maybe navy shorts and then white socks, that's, I think, a lot sharper, or even navy socks and white shorts or something like that. I think that adds quite a bit to it. But yeah, I think arguing small details here. All-star category for sure. It's just where do we want to sit it amongst those three?
I think that's a pretty good spot for it, to be honest. I think we're just sort of nitpicking, and some of it's going to come down to personal preference here. But one last thing is I do like that the Victory have moved away from the grey. So, but as far as their away kit goes, I know we said that we're not a huge fan of just inverses, but I think this one's really good. I think it just works really well, and they've done enough to change it up. But I like it.
Yeah, I'd be more critical of the inverse thing if it didn't have the map in Melbourne on it. Like, I think that puts it over the top as being one of the best ones on offer this year. We do now take ourselves to, in my opinion, and spoilers, one of the worst offerings that we've seen so far this season. Again, a kit that we can't physically see. The most interesting part, most of this image I took from the club stores. Newcastle just doesn't have a club store. You can only buy Newcastle merchandise at Newcastle games. Or occasionally, in the build-up to Christmas, a Westfield location in and around Newcastle. If you go to their website, click on shop, nothing comes up. They tell you that you've got to go to a game to buy any of the kit. It is the next in a line of offering from Viva that we've seen for Newcastle Jets. It's pretty much a blue pinstripe affair. Pinstripes currently in vogue across football around the world. Just very straightforward, very generic. I believe it's got additional gold detail to previous year's kits, which I'm sure a lot of fans are supportive of. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
I don't know. I'm so torn because like we were talking before about club identity, and the Newcastle Jets, much like Central Coast, have really sort of mixed and matched what they're going to go with. Are we blue and gold? Are we blue and red? Are we going stripes? Are we going like what did they used to wear? The all gold look. So
no spoilers, but we'll talk about the gold look in a moment as well.
Oh, sorry, I was talking the old school.
Yeah, I know the one that you're talking about.
Yep. I like the gold. I'm not a huge fan of blue, a dark blue and red. That's just my opinion. But as a color palette pairing, that doesn't float my boat. So I like that they've gone the dark blue and gold. The no sponsor on the front is a huge detraction. I'm a big fan of, those classic sort of kits. And if they went no sponsor because they're like, look, what was it like Huddersfield Town did it like, yeah, we're giving the shirt back to the fans. Well, there's too much sponsorship. There's too much sponsorship in football. So we're going for the clean, clear, classic look. But I feel like it's sort of actually more allures to what's going on at Newcastle with, in general of, it being a bit of a shit show up there at the moment. So
it's interesting that you brought up that Huddersfield story. So I don't know if you remember, but Huddersfield released a kit and then it had a huge sash across it that said Paddy Power, which is a betting agency over in the UK. And then Paddy Power came out and said, this is a prank kit. We're actually going to have no logo displayed on the front, but we're still going to sponsor Huddersfield Town this season. Again, I think you've hit the nail on the head that this is probably more reflective of the current off-field situation in Newcastle, which we can't blame the fans for, we can't blame the players for, even the administrative staff. It's largely an ownership group that doesn't want to be a part of the club anymore and is trying to sell it, but then at the same time, they've had some bidders, and this is getting completely off topic, but I saw it on Reddit, so it could be completely untrue, and we won't claim it as fact, but that they were asked to produce the last 2 years of their financial history and books, and they're unable to do that. So they've got no audited finances for the last 2 seasons at Newcastle. So selling that club is proving challenging as well. And I think one of these things, this is why we're just looking at like a graphic and an image, and we haven't seen the team play in this kit. We haven't seen the team even at training in this kit, as far as I'm aware. Because they're trying to get so much of that off-field stuff sorted before the season starts. Round 1 is, at time of recording and time of release, only 15 days away. So they haven't got that much more time to try and get this ready and get this ready to go. If they haven't got a front of shirt sponsor now, I don't think they're getting one by the time the season starts. But that's another scenario.
Well, they didn't have one last year.
No,
they didn't have one. They had a, what was it? They did go at the end. They had a charity on the front. I can't remember what the charity was. I think it was bushfire related. My apologies for not knowing the name of it. But just going back to this kit in general, I'm not a huge fan. The press release that they put out, it's got blue shorts, blue socks as well. It's a lot of blue. For me, it's quite. I think you bin it. I like the gold, but there's not enough redeeming features to put it any higher than that personally.
Yeah, and I guess the asterisk that we'll put next to it going in the bin is that we know that there are off-field issues at Newcastle that they're trying to work towards, and that's probably limiting their ability to do stuff. Like, if you can imagine, if Newcastle are about to be sold as a club, there's no sponsor that's going to want to sign a contract knowing that the club's going to be
Yes.
on different hands. So that's probably limiting them quite a bit as well. But yeah, I'd agree
Yeah.
this one goes in the bin. I don't think it's that strong. However, their away kit does hark back to that colour scheme that you mentioned earlier, the original gold that they wore in the early seasons of the A-League. Fans of Newcastle have called for more gold involvement, maybe a return to that colour scheme in future seasons. Gold is a key part of their badge as well. They've gone Beaver again. It's exactly the same reason that we just criticised Melbourne Victory a little bit, even though we put it in All-Star of just being in inverse of the other colour palette. This one is exactly that. It's navy collar, it's navy pinstripes on a gold background with navy blue shorts and I think gold socks. So we are getting gold in the league next season, as we spoke about with MacArthur.
Blue socks from the photo that's on their press release when they initially released the kit. Blue shorts, blue socks.
I stand corrected. Even then, I think the gold is a welcome addition. I don't think this is a fantastic kit, but they've at least got an away sponsor in Inspirations Paint. It's not Inspirations Paint, obviously wanting to get as much of their colour palette out there as possible, have like 5 different colours on their logo, which doesn't really look that great on any kit. I don't think any World kit is going to really benefit from having that colourful logo on there. We see the same thing in the Premier League with some of those betting company adverts and some of the different logos that get put on those kits. Where I think this one is higher than the home kit, to be clear, but where do you think it sits on our list?
I definitely agree that it's higher, and I'm going to be honest, I really, 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 really like this one. I'm a big fan of the gold. I like the navy, the darker blue as well, but again, that sort of talks about the Newcastle identity, because the dark navy blue, I believe, is a different shade of blue to what's on their badge. Like if you look at their home kit, that's the same kind of blue that's on their badge. So you look at the navy and you go, well, okay, well, why is that there? I don't fully understand that one, and I might just be ignorant there. But I like the gold and the dark blue far more. I agree that the Inspiration Paint logo isn't the best in terms of complementary colours. So I think that sort of really stops it from going too far up the list, and the fact that it is an inverse. But I just think this is far better than the home one, even just having the shorts as a different colour to the kit. So for me, I think it's in. Ooh, where do I think it is? I would want to say decent, but I think it's probably needs improvement.
Look, I would say bottom of decent, but
oh yeah, do it.
I'd say bottom of decent, just ahead of that Central Coast kit that's right there, because I think Central Coast I'm going to drag down at some point. But
yes, I think I agree. And just very quickly, again, I like it more than City's away. I like it more than City's home, and I like it more than both the Brisbane offerings.
Okay,
but again, I'm a little bit confused by the sponsor and the general mishmash of the Newcastle colour palette. What even is the dark blue? But anyway,
so I think just on that, I think what they did was a couple of seasons ago, and you're the one that said that you didn't like red and blue on kit, so Barcelona fans are going to be destroying you in the comment section below. But I think they did try and go for like a Barcelona style stripe a few seasons ago, and that pushed them to more of a navy colour palette on the kit. And then at the same time, the A-League brought out their logos and their colour palette of different A-League style logos for the different clubs, and now that A-League logo for the Newcastle is a very navy colour. Even though it is different to their badge, I think it's just one of those weird things where the badge is now kind of out of date to what they've been doing at the club for the last few seasons. I could be wrong on that. By all means, Newcastle fans, let me know in the comment section below. But I'm pretty sure they made that adjustment to navy to get a navy and red kit similar to a Barcelona style out there one particular season. Right. And they just haven't transitioned back.
Hey, if you look like Barcelona, you play like Barcelona, right? It's worked wonders.
Wasn't that the Gold Coast United thing? Gold Coast United had the Brazil home kit and the Real Madrid away kit and finished third in the A-League and then folded. But anyway, I think I think decent category. We'll put it ahead of the Melbourne City third kit. I think that's a good spot for it. I don't think it's as strong as the Melbourne Victory kit. But, I think that's a fair spot to drop that one into. Yep. Again, it could come out and be a completely different kit because we don't know what's going on with Newcastle at the moment, but we'll deal with that and revise the list in round one if we have to. Next one, heading across to the west of Australia, Perth Glory's kit. They're in, I think, the third year of a deal with Macron. Macron have done some interesting things with Perth kits over the year. This does have some horizontal striping down the middle of it, 2 different tones of purple, darker purple on the shoulders and arms, and a bit of orange as well. We don't see orange represented all that often in Perth kits over the last few seasons, but it is their primary third colour alongside the purple and the white. What are some of your thoughts on Macron's offering this year?
I like it. I like the horizontal stripes. I think it's something different, but it's also subtle enough that it doesn't clash too much with that sort of classic Perth glory look where you think of predominantly purple. Again, Perth are a weird one. This is my personal preference. I liked it when they were purple and white stripes. That's just my opinion. I don't dislike the transition to a solid purple look. I agree that I like that there's more orange in this one on the sleeves and on the collar. I think it looks really good. I think, again, the fact that there isn't just a ginormous Macron badge right in the middle and not too much on the sleeves as well, that gets a tick from me. I'm not sold on BHP. It's very jarring. Again, it sort of fits in with that sort of West Australian region of, that sort of mining, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't clash, but, it's just so big and bold and white that it's a little bit off-putting for me personally. But overall, I think this is good. I think it's in the decent category.
Yeah, my favourite colour is purple. This is the best Perth Glory kit that they've had in, I think, like the last 7 or 8 years. I think it's great that they're bringing the orange back into that again. I think that just adds an additional layer of colour. I'm not sure what this little orange piece is just between kind of like the main body of the kit and the arms. I'm not sure if that needs to be in there. But slightly different colour. I think it's a safe bet. I agree BHP's logo is way too big. It is absolutely huge on the kit. I don't know why it's so massive. There's another one that's huge and I don't know why. If this was maybe like 10 font sizes smaller, fantastic, great kit. It's going to open up so much of that chest area. It's going to make it look sharp. It's going to make it look clean. Again, I don't hate that it's white, but I think BHP's logo is white by default, so I don't know if they get credit of coincidence, but we'll talk about that a little bit with their away kit.
But even if it is just picking a sponsor that fits into your colour palette, like Arsenal and Emirates, like Emirates don't have to change their logo for that. It just naturally works, which is great. Anyway, yep.
Yeah, so I'd put it at the top of decent. I think I'd even put this ahead of MacArthur, but I'm happy to adjust based on what you think.
No, I think, I don't disagree with that, to be honest. It's purple shorts and purple socks, which I know we've said we're not a fan when all three are the same, but I don't know what you would do differently. Maybe white shorts, maybe white socks, but I'm not convinced that would look better. I'm glad they didn't go for orange shorts. I know we said we like the orange, but that'd be a little bit ridiculous.
See, I'd be into that. I'd be into that because nobody has light-coloured shorts that we've spoken about yet, and we're through the majority of the league so far. Like, everyone's got dark-coloured shorts or shorts that match the top of their kit. Like, I wouldn't mind someone just throwing some light colours in there.
Yeah, don't get me started on short colours and Nike or FIFA, all the rules where, you have to match your jersey and you can't have light and dark. Anyway.
I think they've scrapped that now. I think enough. So that was brought in for international tournaments and then they still let
But it filtered down, because like you look at Newcastle, all blue. You look at Melbourne City, all blue. But then on the flip side, Central Coast, gold, and then blue shorts. Brisbane Roar, orange and black. Anyway, we're getting bogged down in shorts. We could record a whole podcast on shorts, I promise you. And no one would listen.
And no one would listen to it. It'd be you and me to get 2 views, and that'd be it for the rest of the season. Yeah,
I love it. Whenever I ramble, just change the image, and then you go, "That's it. We're moving on."
It's fine.
That's the cutoff sign.
That was for me because I was about to start talking about why Germany and Brazil didn't have to change their kits, and they got to stay the same, even though we've got that horrific all yellow monstrosity a few seasons ago. So bring back green shorts for the Australian national team. Anyway,
we'll save ourselves and we'll move on. Yes.
Jumping forward to the Perth Glory away kit. It's an all-white affair. It maintains the same purple and orange detail on the arms and the collar itself. Slightly different collar to the home one. It's got a central stripe across here, which is purple, which I think is included there to try and include the BHP logo in as big a font as possible and to also keep it in its white structure. So, and then it's kind of got like I don't know what you call this pattern, kind of like a gradient.
A polka dot gradient?
Polka dot gradient, let's go with that, running down as it fades back into white. Not a bad kit, but a very safe kit, and we've been critical of other kits for being just the inverse of the home kit. I think, a white away kit is a safe option in the A-League, and that's why we've seen 4 of the clubs that we've gone through right now have a white away or third choice option. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
I like it. I like that sort of predominant main stripe through the middle there. I think that looks good. If they did just do that to make the BHP logo stay the same color, then that's fine by me because I think it still looks good and I think it works. The polka dot gradient, take it or leave it, but I like it as, a different design element. It is a different design to the home kit in the same way that it hasn't got those horizontal stripes. So for me, I think it's decent. I don't like it as much as their home kit, but I do think that it is certainly better than the Melbourne City and Brisbane offerings.
Okay, so maybe alongside the Melbourne City third kit, two white kits there alongside each other. I think the challenge, and this is no fault of Perth. If we'd have done this one right at the start, I'd feel better about it. But I'm now looking at Melbourne Victory having a white away kit, Melbourne City having a white third kit, Brisbane Roar having a white away kit, now Perth having a white away kit. There's just too many white away kits, and I don't know why. There's so many colours in the world. Maybe they're cheap to print. Who knows? Who knows what the decision-making process is like in the back end.
Maybe it's because they're easy to get stains out of.
Maybe it'll end up being that Perth then accidentally leaves their kit bag in Sydney Airport again this year, and they don't have a play in this kit. But we do jump across to the first side. I think in the last few years, the A-League has used the same kit in back-to-back seasons, Sydney FC. To be completely honest, I've seen a lot of people be critical about them not releasing a new kit this year. I think if you've got cost-cutting measures that you can implement that are very easy, then just bring out a kit once every 2 years. Like, Brand, you're a guy who buys a lot of kits. I'm sure you'd appreciate, financially speaking, being able to get a second season out of a lot of the ones that you've got. I think we probably in the A-League specifically as well, we don't need a new home, third and away kit each season. We just kind of need to get occasional updates and changes to a lot of the templates. Under Armour, I think now in their third, maybe fourth year, happy to be corrected in the comment section below, of their deal with Sydney FC. It's a pretty straightforward, pretty basic kit. What are some of your thoughts on the Under Armour kit? This is being the one that we've seen the most, having Sydney FC played in it last season.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not a huge fan of the blue bar stripe over the top above the badges, to be honest. Again, it does stop it from being just a plain blue kit, but I don't really like it. I don't think it adds a whole lot. Sydney did come out and say that the reason why they haven't got a new kit this year was COVID related, to do with Under Armour and supply chains and all that sort of stuff. So I also agree as well, just without getting too lost on a tangent here, I don't think that teams need kits every single year, because part of the problem is every time you've got to come up with a new kit, you've got to go, oh, well, we can't just use the same one that we used last year. It's got to be different. It's got to be, a different pattern, a different design. And that's where we sort of, I think, see teams like Central Coast and Newcastle and even Perth sort of get away from those traditional looks where they sort of evolve over time, because they go, geez, we've got to do something totally different, or not totally different, but we've got to do something unique every year. So I think that puts a lot of pressure on designers, and across the board with the number of football teams that we see, that's where you start getting templates, because if you have to design and come up with something totally unique for however many tens of thousands of football clubs there are around the world, it starts getting really, really tricky. However, I'm not a big fan of this one. For me, it would sit right alongside Melbourne City's.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think one of the things we haven't spoken about is variation, because variation for the sake of variation is useless. Who gives a shit? But
exactly. Exactly.
Even the one that you've got sitting over there over your left shoulder as people looking at it, that Melbourne City white and red stripe kit, we've seen that same kit in 15 different variations and 15 different kit suppliers. And they're always the same. They're always just white and red stripes, but maybe a little bit more white or a little bit more red on the sleeve or the shoulder or the collar or whatever else. So, don't just change a kit for the sake of changing a kit if it's been the same last season. So again, I'd agree. I'm not as critical as Sydney for sticking with their kit supplier this year. Hopefully, Sydney FC fans can get versions of this kit, and they sell just as many as they would in a regular year, and it starts to change the A-League business model. But I don't think it's a great kit by any stretch.
It's a weird one, because it's almost a cop out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. They haven't not released a new kit because they chose not to. Sydney don't strike me as a team that wouldn't have the financial capability to not be able to release a new kit every season. So it really does seem to be a COVID thing. So, you could probably give them a get out of jail free pass mark, but it's hard to also give them credit for just sticking with the same design when I don't think they did that by choice, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Going purely on the design elements, it's straightforward, but I preferred some of the
it's nothing special.
I preferred some of the Sydney kits that had more dark blue on the shoulders or on a sleeve, personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, like, what'd be interesting, and maybe this is something that we put our stats guys like Nick and whoever else on, to see what the comparisons are between shirt sales in 2018, 2019, and then 19, 20, and 2021 together as one period. Because I think if Melbourne City had the same home kit as last season, I'd probably be more inclined to buy the away kit or the third kit or something like that, or buy some additional sort of like supporting polo or whatever else this season. I think the more you bring out, you do lose a section of that audience who thinks, well, what's the point of me getting a kit this year if it's going to be obsolete in 12 months' time? So anyway, that's a whole other thing.
For sure.
We do move to the City away kit, which of course, because all clubs at the moment are doing it, is just a white affair, primarily white, sky blue additions on the arms and the neck itself. Slightly different colour for this Under Armour one. Again, it's got that bar, but this time the bar is also white, so you can't see it. A-League logo is inverted for their home colours. Under Armour logo, give them credit, is in sky blue, and the Sydney FC logo in the standard format. Again, just these are very generic kits as far as I'm concerned. I don't think they're particularly strong in any way. Where do you think this one sits?
I think put in the bin, to be honest. And I think we almost have to drag that Brisbane Roar away kit down into the bin as well. Boring, safe, no design elements, not very exciting. I mean, nah.
Yeah.
Inverse.
I'd agree.
I'm like, why would you buy that? You know, like, I don't understand. I would not look at that and go, oh, geez, that's kind of cool, which is what I look at. That's how I buy most of my kits. I go, oh, geez, that looks pretty cool. I better buy it. I now have to buy it.
You're wearing one of the most must-buy kits of 2020, which is the Nigerian home kit at the moment. So, like, we know that appeal is there. So, yeah, I'm fine with that, and I'm fine with moving Brisbane down. I think that's a good spot to sit at. All right, so jumping into our next kit, it is the Sydney FC third kit. Again, they're using it from last season. I'll be honest with you, from the start, Brand, this is probably my favourite of the three Sydney FC kits. I think the grey/silver, whatever you want to call it, is done really well. I think the fact they've inverted the Sydney FC logo to match their sky blue colour it's just those little things that I think add quite a bit to it. It's still got the bar. It's the same neck. It's the same detail. So it's not anything different to the home kit. Actually, if we just skip between the two of them, they are the same kit, effectively. Just a different colour palette swap out. There is more detail on the arrows that you can see here across the shoulders and the arms. The best of the three, but still not a great kit. Not a kit that I look at and think, I want to buy this kit. I want to wear this kit. I wish we offered something like this.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably put it side by side with their home kit. I think it just avoids getting in the bin. I just don't love it, you know, like I agree that, you know, I like the charcoal and the inverted badge, but, you know, the fact that it's the same as the other two, you know, it loses some points there for me, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. A nice, easy one for us there. Just drop it straight into needs improvement
and
see how we go. We do head across the ditch now to Wellington. They are in the second year of a deal with Paladin Sports, who, to be honest, I had no idea about Paladin Sports until they joined with Wellington Phoenix at the start of last year. Their offering last season was a little bit, you know, derided amongst the Wellington community. They don't have stripes. They're not integrating that. This year they've gone with two central stripes down the middle of an all-yellow kit. Since really Wellington made the transition to their new logo, I like their logo quite a bit, but it is largely black and yellow. They seem to be going with predominantly yellow kits with additional black detail. The two stripes down the centre are supposed to represent the sunrise at Mount Wellington, or some mountain near Wellington. Apologies that I've forgotten the name of it in the build-up.
Yeah, so it's a topographical map detail of Mount Victoria.
Mount Victoria. Thank you for looking that up.
Which is Wellington's iconic landmark.
Right. Okay. I didn't know any of that. Happy for Wellington fans to let us know further detail. To me, it just looks like two stripes down the middle with a pattern on it. It's going to be all yellow shorts, all yellow socks as well. Not the most imaginative kit. There was also on Reddit, so don't take this as anything other than me talking about shit on Reddit, but there was a detail that had additional black on the arms and on the neck as well, that I think Double R over on Twitter had shared. And it looked much better, just with that little bit of additional detail. But again, that's missing from the final version. What are some of your thoughts on Paladin's offering for this year?
I'm not. I don't really like it, to be honest. I think there's too much yellow. I like that they've gone back to the stripes, even if it isn't the full bar stripes. I don't think that every kit needs to be the same every single time. I know we like to sort of like nod to tradition, but I think that there are ways where you can mix things up while still keeping that nod, sort of similar to what I was saying with Melbourne City and the red and white with the pinstripes. Okay, it's not a classic red and white bar stripe, but it still sort of ticks that tradition box. So I think it's similar with this Wellington one, where it's like, okay, the stripes are back. It's not in the way that you would expect, and it's not in the same way that they've done in previous years. So it's something new and fresh, but at the same time ticks that box. Having said that, while I like the two stripes down the middle, I just think there's too much yellow. I think there's not enough going on in the rest of the shirt. I think the thing that saves it is the topographical map within those stripes, similar to what we were saying with the Melbourne Victory away kit, having the map of Melbourne in there. It adds some meaning, it adds some context, it adds a connection. It's iconic in terms of what it represents as something that is distinctly Wellington. So I really like that. For me, I think it's probably where you've just put it is pretty good. Needs improvement simply because I'm not a huge fan of the design. But then once you get that backstory and you understand the design, oh my goodness, sorry. Once you get that backstory and you understand the design elements that they've incorporated, I think that bumps it up. But I don't think it's quite enough to get it into decent.
Yeah,
I think for me... I think for me that sort of stops it from going, down towards the bottom end of decent or even in the bin.
Yeah.
So, but I think where we've got it is good.
Yeah, I don't think it's not offensive enough, or like so generic and plain enough that it goes in the bin. But again, like even if it had, let me put it this way, I think it's a top of needs improvement right now, and probably separate to the rest of the needs improvement bucket because it's fine. It's a more than serviceable kit. If it had the additional black detail on the neck and the sleeve that we've seen different people kind of try and have inputs on, I don't think that puts it to all-star. I think that would just get it into decent. So I don't think it sits super high on the list, but I do think there are certain improvements that are needed from it. Obviously, Paladin, smaller supplier, Wellington, smaller market, they're continuing to work through what's best for them. And it's good that they've gone with that additional detail. But the reality is, like, no one can tell. If that was a generic black stripe and not a topographic map, who would really know? Nobody would know. So it's a detail, but it's not super in-depth, not super difficult to pick out.
But once you understand it, I think it sort of, justifies it a lot more.
Yeah, but it's not... The great thing about Melbourne Victory's kit and what we praised about it is that you can look at that and understand that it's a map of Melbourne. If we looked at that not knowing what you like, I forgot the name of, I've already forgotten it. Mount Victoria, was that it?
Yes.
Yes, and like we live in the state of Victoria, so we should be able to remember that. But if
That's a thing for a second.
But if you show that to someone, they just think it's a pattern on a map. No one's going to pick out, that's a topographic map of mountain near Wellington. Like, it's not... There's a lot of fantastic stuff in New Zealand culture and even in Wellington culture that you could integrate into a kit that would be more recognisable and more easy to kind of identify early on.
I get what you mean now. I think I sort of might have misunderstood. It's a joke that you have to explain in a way. And once you explain it, it's funny and it makes sense. But the fact that you're explaining it isn't quite there.
Yeah. Now, full disclosure. The next kit I'm about to show you does not exist. So we haven't seen what Wellington Phoenix's away kit is going to be. Now, this is what I've put together.
Is this a reserve team scoop?
It's not a scoop, right? Last year, all they did for the away kit for Paladin was inverted the home kit. Okay, so this exact kit that you can see in the background here was just the reverse of the home kit. So I've done the same thing.
You've done that on Microsoft Paint?
Yeah, I did it on Paint. I just put two stripes down the front of it of last year's away kit. I got rid of the sponsor logo, Huawei, because they don't, I think, have one at the moment. Now that we've done this
Yeah.
episode, I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with a fucking white away kit because every team is doing that this year, and it's going to ruin this. But speculation only. Where would we put the same kit, but just with the inverted color scheme, which is what I expect to see out of Paladin this year?
I would put that ahead of the home one. I don't know. For some reason, again, I know we said we don't like the inverse, and this is all hypothetical. If it was to be that, though, I think the black, a majority, or sorry, not a majority, a mainly black kit with the yellow, I think that looks better than the yellow with the black for whatever reason. Just to my eye, it doesn't look as plain. So if hypothetically, I would rank that above the home kit. However, if it is a white one, bin it.
Yeah, white in the bin. If it ends up being this, here's why I'm going to put it behind the Wellington home kit. One, because I made it up and it may not happen.
Oh, yeah, totally hypothetical.
The other portion, imagine if the home kit that we just discussed, where this has got the yellow detail, just adding that additional kind of yellow to it outside of the stripes in the middle. Imagine if that was black detail on the previous kit. Like, that would look so much better if it had just a little bit more black, a little bit more signature to it, a little bit more flair. So I'll throw it behind get in the bin. Oh, sorry. I'll throw it behind the home kit in the needs improvement category. If they bring out a white kit, we'll come back. We will edit this episode and re-upload it to put that kit down in the bin, because that's where it belongs. But what I will say is that no other club in the league this season has a black away kit. Melbourne City kind of does in that weird conglomerate kit that they've got, but no one's doing it. So now's the time to pull the trigger on a black away kit, Wellington, if you're watching.
And the real question as well is, where do we put your Microsoft Paint skills? Where do they fit into the tier list?
Hey, people have seen the quality of my thumbnails. They are horrific at best.
I love that you Paint and not even Photoshop or anything like that. Anyway, let's carry on.
Mate, we're unpaid reserve team interns. We do not have the budget to be paying for Photoshop logins. Next one is Western Sydney Wanderers home kit. This year joining Kappa, I'm also wearing a Kappa kit at the moment, the Ladies League jersey, available to purchase on ladiesleague.com. But the reason I've gone with this photo specifically is that I think it was earlier this week they announced their front of shirt sponsor, Voltaren. So this is really the only image you can find, including that kit. It's pretty straightforward to be honest, this one. They've gone with their black and red hoops as they do most seasons. A very thick hoop this year. You can see the length and width of that black hoop across the top there. Encompasses most of the top of the jersey, the A-League logo, the Kappa logo, and the Western Sydney logo, including their star. We'll talk about the star a little bit, I'm sure. But a decent offering, a safe offering. Full disclosure, Bran, I think the way that we kind of were critical of Macron earlier about the size of the way that they put their logo on stuff, I don't think this kit needed to have the Kappa logo on the shoulders and running down the arm. I know that is their signature, and I know Adidas does it with the stripes. I think it kind of does take it away a little bit for me with this one. But otherwise, it's a relatively sharp kit. You know what you're getting with Western Sydney, and I think this follows that pattern. It's got the addition this year of the white collar, which they haven't really done before. What are some of your thoughts on what Kappa's brought forward this year?
I really like it. Just touching on the collar quickly, you're right that they've not really done it before, and that's because they've never done it before. I believe this is the first time the Western Sydney Wanderers have had a collar, and I like it. It's more of a fashionable sort of collar. You know how you've got like slim ties and fat ties? The Central Coast sort of look like they have a fat collar, whereas this sort of seems to be a little bit more of a subtle, trendy collar. I like it. I like the wider hoops. Again, I think that's a good way to incorporate something different in every jersey while still hitting that mark of, Western Sydney Wanderers red and black hoops. So it's something different, but still not so outrageously different that it's offensive or, you're going to piss off the fan base at all. I really like the way they've incorporated the white. I think red, black, and white, that's a great color combination, and it really sort of pops. The color, the Kappa logo, even the A-League badge with the white in there, I think looks really good. Voltaren is a bit of an odd sponsor here. Again, we're going off the cuff here, but are they pain medication or
it's like deep heat, or if you're overseas,
rub?
like mineral ice, you take it as a rub to try and relieve joint pain. They've got some old players. Simon Cox is going to be like 36 or something this year, so it probably serves well, and it can be. I'm sure there are Western Sydney fans talking about how painful it can be to support Western Sydney Wanderers. Maybe they'll need a Voltaren rub down at the end of the game.
Yeah,
look,
that's what I was sort of getting at. Like, as far as how they talk about like complementary businesses and that sort of stuff, it fits into that category. But yeah, that might yeah, I don't know, a bit of a weird one, but as a kid as a whole, I quite like it. I know I banged on about not liking the Macron things going down the sleeve. I agree, but on this one, I'll be honest, I think it works. I don't know, like for whatever reason, it doesn't offend me or it doesn't look too jarring. I actually think it's pretty good. For me, I think where you're hovering that around is bang on. I think it's all star.
Bottom of All Star, that's fine with me. I think that's a good spot to put it. And largely, the feedback across soccer Twitter and from Western Sydney's fan base is positive. So, credit to
Yeah.
them. We'll let them go towards the bottom end of that All Star category. We do move across to yet another white away kit because it's very much the trend and in vogue this season. A different away sponsor as well. It's JD Sports with their giant logo plastered across the middle of it. I was very critical of the BHP logo on Perth's kit. I'm
Jeez.
now thinking the same thing for JD Sports as well. It's got good little white additional detail on the collar. The Kappa logo is inverted to include that red color pattern as well, plus some additional detail on the sleeves. Where do you sit on this one? How do you think it fits?
Again, I actually like it. I think it sits alongside the other white kits that we have in decent. Again, the Kappa things. Oh, it's the Kappa thing. Sorry, what a great description. The Kappa logos on the sleeve. I quite like them. I don't know why. They just seem to work. That might sound a little bit contradictory, but to my eye, I just look at it and go, yeah, I like it. I'm a fan of the collar, the red and black around there as well. JD is a sponsor that fits the color palette, and I think as if you look at their branding, like sort of a trainer culture, sort of very fashionable, very youthy. I think this sort of template and design fits in with that similar branding. Can't believe I just called them youthy. That was a gee whiz. Got a journalist with an art degree, and that's the best word I could come up with.
Out of the two
Anyway,
of us,
anyway.
out of the two of us, you're supposed to be the one that resonates with the youth. It definitely ain't me. Like I left that
Wow.
life behind a long time ago, and you've lost
Yeah,
half their audience at that point. But yeah, look,
that's
I'd
it.
agree. I'd agree with the same thing.
I like it.
It's
I like
decent.
it.
I'm going to put it right alongside the Perth Glory logo because I think they've both got the same criticism, which is that the sponsor logo is way too big and is
Yeah,
too
but
big a focal
at
point.
least it fits more so than like inspiration paints on the gold. So whilst and that's the same with BHP. Whilst it's large and oversized, at least it works.
If it was red, the JD logo, I'd like it more. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
I'm a bit halfway between it, and we know. And the reason that I say that and bring that up is because it segues nicely into the next kit, which is the Western Sydney Wanderers' third kit for this season, this black and gold affair, where JD Sports is clearly fine with changing the color palette and fine with being, a separate color to what their usual display would be, which is that black logo. I think if we on the home kit, the away kit had a red JD Sports logo, much sharper. This gold kit having the gold JD Sports logo, I think it's still too big. I think it could be 2 or 3 sizes smaller, but I do think it adds quite a bit to it. Of course, all gold, all black on this one, just gold detail for the club logo, the Kappa logo, the Hyundai A-League logo, which I think looks fantastic in that gold format, and then of course the JD Sports logo that I already mentioned. What are some of your thoughts on the third kit that they've offered up this year?
Well, this is actually the first time I've seen this. I haven't seen that before. I don't know how I missed that. I've just seen the home and the away ones.
I think it was announced on Monday, and there was a
Well,
guy,
there
I
we
can't
go.
remember his name. It's like Packafresh or something like that. I cannot remember his name, and I apologize if he's watching. But
Right.
he was like, I don't know who he is, like a rapper or a social media person or whatever else in and around the Western
Right,
Sydney area.
okay.
They did a really good video releasing that kit with him in it. And they've done this a couple of seasons now, had black and gold
Yeah, the
third
black and
choice
gold,
kits.
yeah.
It seems to be becoming something of a signature for Western Sydney. I don't know if they need to do it every single year, to be completely honest, but I do think this is a sharp looking kit. I don't think it's a bad one
Yeah,
at all.
I like it. I think it looks really good. I think the gold pops. As you said, we've seen Western Sydney do this before, so I think it's a good sort of trend for them to hop on. They've had what is it? A couple of years ago, didn't they have an all gold one? They had a gold kit that looked pretty darn good as well. So I think that's a good thing to continue. For me, I think it is very much, cashing in on that kit culture, fashionable, trendy. You could wear it with jeans, you could wear it out and you'd look really cool kind of vibe that we've seen other teams go for around Europe, like the Barcelona kits as well, with the pink A lot of it sort of fits in with that trainer sneaker culture as well. So I think that's very much what this kind of kit is. But from a purely football perspective, it still looks great. Even if you remove all those elements, it still looks pretty darn good.
Maybe I'm being too ambitious. Well, like the RBB is fantastic, adds a lot to the league, whatever else. They do a great active support. One criticism that I always have for them is that they don't represent the colours in what they wear within that RBB section. It's always just random dudes in like button-up polos and balaclavas and whatever else. They don't wear, like the Sydney. They don't wear the Western Sydney kit, and they don't wear the Western Sydney colours. That's what I want to see them improve. Hopefully, this kind of sharp-looking black and gold number that you've mentioned would look great with a pair of jeans or whatever else. Maybe this is the one that they adopt, and we see a lot more of this in there. I would put it at the bottom of All-Star. I think this is the year to do a black away or third kit because it just hasn't been done anywhere else in the division, not including my paint skills from Wellington from earlier. But, yeah, I would maybe go back bottom of All-Star, but where would you place it?
Yeah, no. I agree with it.
Cool. And that does take us to the last club on the list, Western United, going into their second season in the A-League. They are also with Kappa this year, had them last season as well. I'll be completely honest, Brand, putting this kit up against last season's kit, it's almost impossible to tell what the differences are. The one difference is this section of green that you can see here on the sleeves. The stripes are pretty much the same spacing as last year. Their neck is a little bit different. The arms are pretty much the same. But this one section of green is the main difference. Last year it was black, this year it's green. They've also, and I cannot find any further detail on this, we spoke about it further in the season preview. I don't know where Pro Build has gone off the front of their kit this year. It may be that the ones they used for their media launch just didn't have the kit on there, the logo on there for the sponsor. But what are some of your thoughts on Western United's Season 2 offering?
I don't mind it. Again, it's very safe. I like that they've gone with the same style, the same look. I think it's very important early on to build a brand and build an identity. So the fact that they haven't sort of tried to stray away from the green and black stripes, which I really, really like, by the way. I'm a big fan of green. I think that is a colour that had really been missing in the A-League colour palette. So I like it. It's hard to give it too many props considering it's literally just stripes. So, I mean, for me, this is a tricky one. I think it sits in decent simply because it's like if you put it in needs improvement, like what do you improve? Like a sponsor on the front, but at the same time, so I don't know what you change. This one doesn't have the Kappa
like shoulder
badge,
and side
badge logo. This one doesn't have the Kappa logo running down the sleeves. And I know I said I liked it on the Wanderers kit, but I like that it isn't on this kit as well. I think it's a little bit unnecessary. While I thought it worked for Western Sydney, I'm glad this one doesn't have it. So, I mean, looking at it, I don't know how. I don't know. I think it probably sits alongside, to be honest, now that I think about it more, the Melbourne City, Brisbane Roar ones, where you look at it and you go, yeah, it's just a kit.
Yeah.
But I think that's just sort of a limitation where, needs improvement. I don't know what you'd improve, but, it's strong, it's solid.
Yeah, the reason I'd argue for need improvement is I actually think I liked last season's kit better that had the black arms. I don't think adding green to the arm is that big a difference or that big a change. Like I didn't look at last season's Western United kit and think that needs more green on it or that needs a massive change. And I think the change that they've brought out this year is so minute and so like there's no one's going to be able to tell if you've got two people standing side by side in the two kits other than the sponsor not being on there. No one will be able to tell which one is which seasons, if that makes sense. It's not a progression or a development. It's just slightly more green on the arm for the sake of slightly more green on the arm for the sake of bringing out a new kit. So look, I'd agree with you. I think maybe we put it in needs improvement towards the top next to Wellington. I think maybe we move Melbourne City and Brisbane up a little bit further, but just because like they're fine, but they're safe options. They're safe bets. They're not anything interesting. They're not anything revolutionary. They have changed their away kit quite a bit though this season. They've gone with this halved and quartered number. Now, full disclosure, I'm a big fan of the old halved and quartered shape. We had a Melbourne Heart kit back in, I want to say like 2013, 2014 that looked exactly like a Feyenoord kit where it had kind of like the halved and quartered red and white and then black shorts, and that was very sharp. This is in a very similar mold, but with the green obviously in place of the red. I think this is a very good kit. It's got sort of a diagonal strip across the middle, which I'm not sure if that's designed to house a sponsor label or if a sponsor label is going to be straight over the top of it. Well, it remains to be seen how that's going to work in the next few weeks as we see it. But what are some of your thoughts on the change from the tessellated kit from last season for Western United's away?
I really, 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 really like this one. I am very much in the same boat as you, where I love that corded Battenberg style look. Again, I know we're talking about Western United. I know the Melbourne City, Melbourne Heart kit you're talking about. That is my favourite ever Melbourne Heart kit. I wish we'd sort of, I think that was fan designed, but I wish that was what would you call it? I wish that was a design that we'd incorporated from the start over the stripes personally, just because it's totally different. I like this one. I like their away kit last year too, but this one is obviously less busy. I think it's really good. I think the white, the green, the black, it all works. They have a Kappa logo on the sleeve where I think they did have one on the home kit as well. You get a bit of a better look at it, but one is good. One's not too over the top. It'll be interesting, as you said, what they do with a sponsor because it has got that diagonal sash. So, if they just put a sponsor over the top, I think that'd look pretty odd or bizarre. I don't know how that would work. But at the same time, I don't know how it would work if you put the sponsor following the same angle. But, we'll see what happens. But for me, I really like this one. I think this is probably the very top of decent. I don't know if it.
Here's what I'll say, right?
All-star.
I'd be comfortable with bottom of All-Star because I don't think it's that different from the Western Sydney third kit that we've put up there. If they come out with an ugly sponsor logo, and I think maybe they're the benefit that they've got at the moment is there's no sponsor logo on it, and we've voted down other options on this list based on the sponsor positioning and size and whatever else. If it comes out and the sponsor logo takes away from this in any way, I think it drops down to decent, and I think it sits alongside, like the Perth away kit, the JD Sports Western Sydney away kit. It's a great kit, but there's too many white bloody away kits at the moment in the A-League. Someone's got to do something about that. So it is different enough, though, that I think we could go with All-Star and be comfortable.
Yeah, and just quickly, I know we've been saying that there's a lot of white kits, but I think there's enough green on this to sort of differentiate it. And they've picked a design, and credit to them, where it does incorporate a large amount of a secondary colour that isn't just white. So bottom of All-Star, I really like it. I have a big soft spot for that sort of Battenberg style corded look. I love it. So I think that's pretty good spot to put it.
Works for me. Now, that does bring us to the end of our list. We've gotten through each and every one of the kits released so far this season. I'll recap the list to you. We'll start at the bottom, and we'll see if there's any that we think have scrambled their way out or up further. We've gone with Newcastle Jets home kit with no sponsor and no real version of the kit that we've seen so far. The Sydney FC away kit and the Brisbane Roar away kit. Any of those that you think we've been too harsh on and maybe scrambled their way out of the bin?
Not really. You could maybe make arguments that Brisbane and Sydney could, but I think just the real lack of design elements and real lack of real lack of impact that they make. Yeah, bin them.
Needs improvement category, we've gone in the following order. Wellington Phoenix's home kit, Western United's home kit, Melbourne City's home kit, Brisbane Roar's home kit, Wellington Phoenix's potential away kit, which I'm going to immediately put down to the bottom of needs improvement because I don't really know if that's actually going to be a kit. Melbourne City's away kit, the third kit for Sydney FC, and the home kit for Sydney FC. Any there that you think need to move up or down in any respect?
I would maybe slide the Sydney home kit up next to Brisbane just because that way those home kits are they're all in the same category of that's what they normally wear, so it fits the bill. It's nothing ridiculous, it's nothing outrageous, but sort of does the trick. I think we're more or less on point there. I can see you rearranging them now, but I think you could put them in pretty much any order, to be honest. The charcoal one is loitering towards the bin for me, but I think towards the bottom end of charcoal is something that isn't just all white and the inverted badge. For me, I think would save it from save it from the bin. But I'm still in no rush to go out and buy it, even if I was an avid City fan.
I'll put it in the bin. I think we've been consistent across the needs improvement category. I think we can move Melbourne City and Western United to the top of that needs improvement category. I think they are I think they're better kits than Wellington's, Sydney's, and Brisbane's, given that Wellington, Sydney, Brisbane are all a bit generic and whatever else. And I kind of agree that Western United are leaning into the green is good for them to get,
definitely.
more green involved in their kit. I think Melbourne City's would be a great kit if it had white shorts. If it was that, I'd put it way higher in this list. So it's not a bad kit, so to speak. It's just, it is what we're getting. The next one, decent category. This one's a little bit more challenging. So Perth Glory as their home kit, MacArthur's home and away kits, Melbourne Victory at home, Newcastle Jets away, Melbourne Heart third kit, Perth Glory away kit, Western United's away kit, and then Central Coast's home, third, and away kit in that order. I've mentioned a couple of times, I think Central Coast has to move down, but what do you think about how we've positioned everyone?
It's a tough one because I do think that they sit well alongside those other teams. As we sort of mentioned, like, a basic home kit that's not too offensive. So I think we can pull them down. The main reason that I thought that they should have stayed in decent was because, if you're talking about needs improvement, they have improved on their previous designs by going back to basics. That was sort of the main thing that I was getting at. Like, they have made progress. They have improved there, but looking at it all, I think pulling down a bit. The away kit, if I had to pick one, I'd probably keep the grey in decent. I think the blue, I know I'm not a fan of the all grey. It's got a bit of elephant suit vibes about it. But, thinking about it and looking at it again here, I do prefer it to the all blue, which sort of, I don't know. I said at the start, I don't like tacky A-League kits. The dark blue with the slightly lighter dark blue, for me, just looks tacky.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Here's where we'll compromise, right? We'll leave the grey one in decent. I think that's fine. Whatever. Yep. Even though it's got no sponsor and it's kind of a bit whatever, we'll put it at the bottom of decent. And
it's got weird positioned logos. Yep.
Yeah, weird positioned logos. I think we'll move the central.
Badges.
Sorry, yeah, badges, whatever we want to call them. I think the Central Coast home kit can go to the top of needs improvement. I don't think it's a bad kit, but I also don't really think Melbourne City and Western United are bad kits. I think they're all kind of in the same tier and same category. Yep. It's not Central Coast with their colour palette and what they've done in previous seasons. Like, even though you didn't like the barcode style, even though you bought it and it's hanging on the wall behind you, it's at least something unique and something different. I think they've kind of they've gone back to a very generic style for this season, which I don't necessarily think it's not a bad kit, but is it a great kit? Is it on some of the levels and tiers that we've seen from the other sides in the division? Nah, not really. So I think it can go in needs improvement. The other one that I wanted to call out from the decent category
here we go.
is maybe Perth and Newcastle could maybe move up. I'd be happy to leave them at the top of decent. They could potentially have a case being made for All-Star because I think they're there's almost two levels within All-Star. I think there's a top four, which are the two Adelaide kits, the Melbourne Victory away kit, the Western United home kit. And then there's almost like a second tier of All-Star, which is the Western United third kit, the black and gold, and the Western United away. I think a case could be made to either bring them up or potentially bring the Western United the Western United away kit and the Western Sydney third kit down to their level. What do you think?
No, let's bump them up. We almost needed a fifth one here. Above, as you said, above decent, but below All-Star are very good, where I think they would fit into the very good category. The Newcastle one, I really like it. I really like it, even though there's a few reasons why we shouldn't. In terms of that inspiration paint logo, and Viva, generally speaking, I haven't been a huge fan of their work, but for whatever reason, that just ticks a lot of boxes for me and floats my boat. Perth, I think, are good as well, so I think that fits in there. Again, just going back to decent, for me, I think MacArthur's offerings and the Victory, I think they do just sort of sit above. I'm really not sure about the Victory now. I think the Marbling and the V, I reckon pull it down. I do.
Pull it down, but to the top.
No, leave it up. No, leave it up. Leave it up. Right. Leave it up. Leave it up.
Fair enough.
Leave it up. I think the marbling effect does it for me. I don't know why. Yeah, I think we could redo this 50 times. So I think I'm happy with where things are there.
And then finally, the all-star list, we've got Adelaide United's home kit, Melbourne Victory's away kit, Adelaide United's away kit, Western Sydney Wanderers at home, and then the four that we just spoke of, the Western Sydney third kit, the Western United away kit, Perth Glory, and Newcastle Jets. Any issues in that order? Any that you'd want to see changed or adjusted?
I would probably put Western Sydney ahead of Adelaide's away, personally. And then this is just a very personal preference, but in my opinion, I think the Victory away kit is the best we've seen this year. But I know you like the Adelaide United home one, so it's not necessarily
hairs.
a ranking.
Yeah, look, splitting hairs for
necessarily.
me. Sorry,
yeah, sorry. Classic Zoom internet. It's always hard to tell who's talking and who's not. For me, sorry, I forgot what I was even saying. The Victory, for me, I like it more than the Adelaide one. I think the Adelaide is very, very good. I think Western United is very, very good. I like the yellow Ronald McDonald one as well. We're not necessarily ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think we can agree that they are all in the same category, and then pick your favourite of the bunch. Just comes down to what you like.
Yeah, I think hindsight being 2020, you're probably right, and we probably should have had a tier for very good, because I think these top four are, as far as I'm concerned, the top four that were released this season. But yeah, again, you're arguing minutiae between the two of them. I think given that we are both from Melbourne, and there's a Melbourne map on a kit this year, we will give it the nod, and no one could ever accuse us of ever being biased towards Melbourne City again if we're throwing that bone towards the Victory fans this season. But yeah, I think...
And it's like what you said with Wellington, where it's a cool feature, but it's instantly recognisable and far easier. You don't need to explain that joke as much. You can tell what it is. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I think we're in a good spot. Again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, we could do this list 100 times and never be 100% happy with where everything sits, and we'll learn more about the kits, or we'll see them in play, or we'll see them during round one and just change our minds about quite a few different things. There is a chance.
I do have one last question for you, Sean. I know you've bought the Melbourne City home kit, so we'll eliminate that. If you put your neutral hat on, which one of these are you buying? Ooh. If you can only buy one and add them to your wardrobe and your kit collection, which one would you get?
Probably, it's a toss of a coin. It would be between Perth Glory's home kit, because I just like purple, and the Ronald McDonald Adelaide kit, because I think it's I'm kind of... if this actually has you looking like Ronald McDonald, I'm more into it. That's kind of become an appeal for me. I think the more horrific that kit may potentially look, the better and higher it sits on the list. But which one would you be jumping out at?
Again, I'm thinking the Victory one. I think that's just the most well-rounded one. But again, that Metricon being a little bit low, and the V, the more I look at it, the more I keep thinking that it's a bit of a weird shape. For me, it'd be a toss-up between the Victory and the Wanderers home. That would be Victory away and Wanderers home would be a tough one. Western United's away and Newcastle's away are drawing my interest as well. But I reckon Victory away or Western Sydney. If I had to pick one, which I do because I said you can only buy one, I can't even answer my own question properly. I'm picking the Wanderers.
Yeah, look, acknowledging my bias, I just can't buy another team, like a kit from another team in Melbourne.
Well, I've got my neutral hat on. But I just prefer the black and red to the all white. But I would be very, very tempted by that Victory one.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think the fact it's got Melbourne on it, we've never seen a kit with a Melbourne map on there. I think that kind of means that most people in and around Melbourne are going to want to get a version of it. But yeah, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't. You're a better person at remaining unbiased than I am, and that's why you're a professional journalist and I'm just a YouTube monkey. But I think we've put together a good list. I think we can fall back on it. It's pretty safe. But as always with these tier lists, you guys let us know your thoughts, opinions in the comment section below. Hit us up over on Twitter. We will put the links out there so you can make your own tier list. And please, by all means, let us know on Twitter what you've compared and what you've enjoyed so far this season, because we want to hear different fans' inputs from across the league and across the division as well. Brand, that does bring us to the end for another week. If people want to check out more of your content, where's the best place to go and find more of your work?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Branson Gibson. Branson with an E, not an O. Thank you, Mum and Dad, for the spelling of that one. if you are interested in the NPL in Victoria specifically as well, I do have a podcast that I host with a mate, the Semi-Pro Potty, that focuses on the NPL Victoria. I've also got a bunch of articles up on the reserveteam.com.au. Have a look, have a read, let me know what you think.
Yep, there is, of course, links in the description below to all the brand's content and his social media profiles, as well as to the reserveteam.com.au, where you can find all things Australian New Zealand football as we continue to build up towards the start of the A-League and W League seasons. But more than anything, we just appreciate you guys watching. That's the part that means the most to us. If you want to support us that little bit more, you can drop a like on this video. It helps us get higher in YouTube search results when people look for Australian New Zealand football content. You can also subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date on all of our episodes. This show, the podcast, all of our season previews that are continuing to come out, a whole bunch of different fantastic stuff that's going to keep going all throughout the course of the football season. But as always, I've been Sean, and we'll see you all again next time.